She posted that she'd had a great Mother's Day because guess what, guys? She has twins now. Why is somebody giving her children? But you guys, the picture that she posted, I'm just gonna be honest with you, weird as hell. Weird as hell. We're looking at the feet of the babies, and then I think the feet of her older daughter. She's another daughter named Una, and these two babies' names are Agnes and Ocean. These kids, I'm like, these are alive babies though, right? I hated that they didn't even have anything on but an old rag. This is like 1907 New York City tenement lifestyle. Look, what is happening right here? Are you going to breastfeed them or give them a bottle of sugar water from a rag? I'm telling you, the picture gave me Angela's Ashes vibes. What's happening with these twins? Is Una going to have to be in charge of watching them in a pram outside on a stoop? Hello, how are you? Welcome to my channel. My name is Dear Denise. Today we're going to be doing a video that's sort of in the style of the Friday News Roundup because last Friday we just completely set aside the entire video to talk about the Met Gala. Meanwhile, the world was going on and we're way backed up on stories, so we need to discuss. There's so many things. So many things. So many court cases currently happening, pending, about to happen. So there's so many things to talk about. So much wretchedness. The celebrities just can't get their act together. Start out with a story that just made me roll my eyes so far back in my head I didn't know if they'd ever come back around. This week we saw Harry meandering through London, knocking on random doors looking for the friends we know he doesn't have. Harry was so close to tears in that BBC interview where they completely failed to ask him any difficult questions. He was so emotionally distraught. If he had started crying, I wouldn't have even been surprised. I mean, he was so frustrated. He was so angry. He was like angry to the point of like near tears because no one would take him seriously. Kept telling us about this threat that was on his life. Kept telling us that nobody believed that he should be assessed as having the highest level of risk of any member of the royal family. I mean, all he said to any of the questions that were asked to him was that he needed a risk assessment. He needed a risk assessment. He needed it. He needed it. He needed it. And now we see him meandering through the streets of London, knocking on random people's doors, looking for this friend of his, and now look, how many of us have, actually, I don't know. I was going to say, how many of us have accidentally done this? Well, I would never knock on a door unless I was 100% certain that that was the address. And how hard is it for me to find the address? The number's on the door, and I have the address. I'm like, did your friend give you a fake address? How did this happen? Also, why are you walking up and knocking on these doors? If you're so worried that danger is lurking behind every corner, going to pop out of every trash can and scalp you from every alley that you pass by, why are you over here knocking on doors yourself? Wouldn't it be a great idea, since, as you say, Al-Qaeda is just waiting to waylay you? Wouldn't it be a great idea for you to, get one of these many security guards that you have and get them to knock on the door since, for all you know, somebody's going to pop out from behind the door with a AK-47. I don't understand what he's talking about his safety. Clearly, he's not too worried about his safety. He's knocking on random doors. Prince Harry, a prince of the British Empire, is knocking on random doors in London. But he is terrified because somebody does want to kill him. He's not sure who, where, what, when, why, but it is out there. And, it's this evil force that's encroaching upon his well-being. Him and his wife and his children are about to be murdered. And, of course, his family has all but signed off on their deaths. Maybe he'll find that behind that door is his father with a machine gun. Who knows? I mean, at this point, Harry, you're not afraid. You don't think that you're in danger, and you wandering the streets of London has done more to undercut your entire story than anything you have ever done in your entire life. This is worse even than when they were running around in New York claiming that it was a high-speed chase. I mean, that was bogus as hell. But this situation of him claiming to be fearful for his life and then just knocking on doors, looking for friends, wandering around. You're not afraid. I mean, you are afraid. You're afraid of Meghan, but you're not afraid for your safety. You're not afraid somebody else will kill you. Maybe you're afraid of Meghan. Maybe you need security because you live with a witch. Maybe. By the way, I didn't cover some of Meghan's latest podcast episodes because they're boring. And I know that some of you guys do like that, and so I'm trying to find a time when I can cover it. But I did happen to listen to one clip from 2 episodes back, and I'm talking about a 30-second clip. And she's talking to this girl, and I'm like, your friend is describing being in a coven. Your friend who is describing when she came to LA and was living in a house full of other women and they're like charging their crystals by moonlight and dancing and like loving their feminine. You know your friend was a witch, right? I mean, like, legit. Anyway, did kind of make me want to cover that one. But to continue on, while Harry is wandering about London looking for the friends that he doesn't have, Meghan is posting on her socials this fun date night they had with Beyonce. Now, this was hilarious to me because Beyonce's tour is going just about as well as you would expect. This is a person who won a Grammy for the best country music album. By whose definition, I ask you? Like, the entire world was like, but what? You've got to be lying to me right now. Best music album of the year? Did you know there's a place called Nashville with a couple of other artists you could have looked at? She put on a cowboy hat and then like sang a song about Texas, and then we're all supposed to think that's country music? Sorry, no. Like, what are you literally talking about? Anyway, they go to the tour and like she's in her obligatory denim dress and Harry's in a cowboy hat, and it's like so lame. This tour is like going famously bad. It's not Katy Perry level bad, but it's pretty bad. Like at one point she's supposed to be acting out, going home and sort of like just vegging out in front of the TV. I don't really get how this works, but I haven't been to a lot of concerts, so maybe there's like a lot of acting out going on stage. I don't know. But anyway, she sits down on like this throne thing and it's got this robotic arm that's supposed to pour her a drink. But the robotic arm spazzes out and pours the liquid all over the chair and not in the glass at all. And then when Beyonce goes to get the drink, it's like clear that it's empty. And so she can't quite act out the scene that she has choreographed to act out. So it's like this awkward moment. It's like things like that all the day. The music is obviously whack. Nobody likes the music. The thing is that Beyonce's music's always been terrible. I mean, you guys, All the Single Ladies was literally the worst song I've ever heard. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies. It's like, this is like, the lyrics are terrible. The tune is awful. It's like, it really truly feels like one of those kid CDs that somebody gives you to put on in the car for the kids. And you're bumbling down the road, wondering when it's all going to end. Really and truly, what is the deal with her music? Like, really. It's these repetitive choruses, these know-nothing tunes, and it's like goes back to the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And I have never gotten why Beyonce was a big deal. And I feel like more and more people are like willing to admit that maybe she's not Queen Bee, but you know, like for the longest, she was getting all this hype, and I was like, are we listening to the same music? You guys, like, for real? What? So anyway, not surprisingly, the tour is going terribly, but Meghan has, you know, wanting to post all about this fun date night, and there's Meghan dancing like she too is a robot. And she and Harry, like, of course, sharing this obligatory kiss, which literally looks like it's happening in hell. The whole thing was like, Meghan, if you think that you are going to rehab this Beyonce tour, why are you making it harder for this quote-unquote friend of yours? She's already having a terrible time, and then you show up. You're not the help you think you are, Meghan. I know people have lied to you and told you that there's this thing called the Meghan effect, where if you do something, then everybody else is going to do it. But no. And you coming to Beyonce's sad, lame, horribly choreographed concert, not going to pick up sales for your quote-unquote friend. No. So, a couple of lame ladies being lame. Meanwhile, other singers this week are having a real hard time. One of those singers would be Taylor Swift. Girl, the lies have done caught up with you. She's over here trying to tell us that she had nothing to do with Blake Lively, and she like literally has no idea what anybody is talking about. She's over here petting her cats and being a homebody. So if somebody could please explain why, you know, Blake keeps claiming she had something to do with this movie. I don't really know what it's called. It starts, it ends, something about us. But anyway, I don't know. Everybody all along, all throughout the making of, has been talking about how Taylor was involved. And not just Blake. Like, that's the other thing. It's not like Blake just trying to claim this tight friendship she had with Taylor Swift.
Feels like a big, beautiful summer movie, but like we didn't have any budget. So there were a lot of favors and a lot of begging and
your knees for Taylor?
I mean, honestly, she was with me on this experience the whole time, all throughout it. So like she really lived this with me. Yeah, she was, you know, she's a person who shows up for you, and I'm so grateful to have that love and that support.
Baldoni has also gone out and talked about the fact that Taylor was really involved. Now, obviously, we know from their texts, we've gone over those 1,000 times, no need to reiterate, but obviously he has talked about, yeah, when Taylor decided to gang up on me that one time at your apartment, it was kind of lame. But more than that, he's also talked in interviews before about how the actress that was chosen to play young Blake Lively was chosen by Blake and Taylor together, and that they came to him with this actress and was like, you really need to choose this girl. She's the one. You really got to choose this girl. And so he did.
What was her first film?
Well, she told me Taylor Swift helped her get the role, like signed off on her audition tape.
I had brought in, I was casting, and I had actually brought in and showed her casting tape to Blake and Taylor, and they were both like, yes, her. And that's a true story.
So then for her now to be issuing statements through her attorneys who are like, she doesn't know anything about the movie. She never was on the set. She gave no songs. She gave no sign off. She wasn't there for costuming. She wasn't there for scripting. She wasn't there for this. Well, how do you go back and undo all along when people are like, yeah, and Taylor was there for the music, and Taylor helped pick out cast, and Taylor helped write the script through Blake Lively? Like, what are you talking about, Taylor?
Taylor Swift wrote My Tears Ricochet for this film.
Right.
Why is that song so
Honestly, her writing is so incredible that you could put any one of her songs and be like, this is perfect.
Taylor Swift is a person who has bought into her own hype to such an extent that she thinks that she can control the world around her. As we've said many times, she so much appears to me like this person who was very overdramatic as a teenager. And it created a world in which she was this poor, put upon, unpopular girl who just cried tears on her guitar. And she would write these little love songs for all the boys who just like didn't get it. You know, that she was like this really cool girl, but you just like wouldn't give her a chance because she wasn't like the fun, popular cheerleader. She was kind of dorky, but just like, she loved the fact she was dorky, but like, she's going to act like she thought that was a crutch or something. And she would just write these songs, and, you know, she just sort of like lived in this world in the shadows where she watched the popular kids and like they just didn't get her. And now I just feel like everything she does is as a reactionary to this story that I don't even think was true in her life. Her family was not poor. She was writing music at a very young age. She became well known at a very young age. And for her to act like she had this really hard little life that has sort of, you know, she's just like this really relatable, normal girl who, that's why you like her, because she's so normal and relatable. No, we're not. She's always her whole life played the part of trying to be relatable, but she never has been. Never in her whole life has she been relatable. Okay. She's never been the dorky geek. She hasn't. Okay. Oh, but she loves that stereotype. She loves to be the little wallflower watching everything. But secretly, you know, she's over there pulling strings and making the world turn, but you just don't know it because you're so popular and so full of yourself. You have no idea that it's the dorky girl pulling the strings and making the world go round. Well, unfortunately, this dorky girl who's pulling the strings to make the world go round has finally, you know, all her schemes have finally caught up with her. Okay. And she can tell us all she wants that she had nothing to do with it. But you girl, there is just too much evidence that you did know what was going on. You did enjoy helping your friend Blake. And you wanted part of it. 100%. You just broken up with the guy that you were dating. You were like kind of sour at the world. Songwriting was kind of slow. And so you decided that you were going to hang out with Blake and, you know, be part of her witches coven. I mean, seriously. Taylor Swift, by the way, you know, to continue on with our witches theme, is legitimately into witchcraft. I mean, it's like not even a question at this point. And anybody who wants to say that she's not up there acting out her, you know, I mean, she's literally up there acting out spells. She's up there acting out what it is to be in a witch's coven. She's got all these girls that are hanging around with her. You know, it's like there's so many people who get into witchcraft through like the avenue of Wicca and all of this, like, we just love the feminine and we know we just want to worship all that is feminine and like dance in the moonlight and charge our crystals. But like, you guys are really dabbling in some things, and she definitely is dabbling in some things. But I think that that's another reason why she feels like she can pull the strings of the world, because she feels like she's got powers that are going to help her do that, and they're not going to let her get caught. Well, let me tell you something, Taylor. In the end, good wins. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news for you and your witches coven. Speaking of people who are evil, let's talk about the Diddy trial that's going on.
So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
Now, he's being referred to as Sean in court, so we'll refer to him as Sean in our videos. Sean's having a hard time of it because, as it turns out, he's a literal demon. And he's been doing all kinds of nefarious things for years and years and years and years and years. But finally, when Cassie Ventura, brought him to court and said, hey, you abuser, let's talk about what you did to me, then it all came to light that, hey, maybe he's not the fun, lovable guy who had some parties where everyone dressed in white. No. Now, here's the thing. If anybody was paying attention at any time for any reason whatsoever, they would have picked up on the fact that this guy was evil incarnate. There's been so many celebrities, so many people who've been like, yeah, Sean is kind of crazy and don't get close to him and steer clear. And that guy is wild. Don't go to any of his parties. And if you do, don't stay late. So it's not like we haven't been getting hints about this. And if anybody in Hollywood is going to give you any kind of a hint about evil, you can just assume that all hell has broken loose because they seem to cover up a lot of trash. So if anybody's even giving you a hint that trash has happened, you can just assume that Satan and all his minions are involved. Okay. Well, Cassie brought to light what was really going on, and she, of course, released this video where he is dragging her all over the place. I won't play in its fullness because it's very disturbing, but you guys have seen it before. And I think the thing that I find so galling is that his lawyers keep coming out and being like, he will be absolved. He is an innocent man. And I'm like, did you guys not see the video where he's dragging somebody by the hair down the hall, kicking her, carrying on? I mean, like, I'm sorry, that doesn't look like somebody who's innocent. Now, their claim is, okay, yeah, well, he does sometimes have a temper, and you might not like the way he deals with people when he gets mad, but this whole thing about trafficking and state lines and, like, federal crimes, no, he's not guilty of that. And I'm like, okay, any guy who's going to drag somebody down the hall by their hair in a hotel where cameras are everywhere, you're going to try to tell me that he's not committing heinous crimes when that door is closed? I mean, sorry, lawyers, do you understand evil? Do you know about the concept? So anyway, his lawyers are really up against it. And of course, their only defense is, well, somebody having baby oil isn't like a crime or anything. Like, literally, that's what they said in court yesterday. Somebody having baby oil isn't like a crime. Okay, well, he's not here for the baby oil, okay? Like, what a lame opening line. This is the thing that's so crazy to me. It took them forever to pick out a jury. And then, like, immediately we're calling witnesses. And yesterday we heard, not yesterday, the day before, it was the escort who was come to testify, who had been to many of these freak-offs, and he had a lot of things to say. But what's interesting is he says that Cassie was quite involved in a lot of the things that were being asked of the escort. So it wasn't just Sean orchestrating this and Cassie clearly and visibly not enjoying it. The escort says that Cassie was involved and that it seemed consensual and that she was giving him instructions on debasing acts. So I don't know if we can trust the escort, but that's what he says. He was on the stand, so, I'm sure he's not trying to perjure himself here. But from his opinion, Cassie was involved. But see, that's neither here nor there because, well, if you're really afraid of somebody and if you're getting dragged around by the hair in the hallways of a hotel, I'm assuming you are very afraid of this person. I don't know that you would be involved in the freak-off and visibly look as though you were unhappy to be there. Like, I think that as a point of trying to survive, you might not be adamantly opposed to it in your demeanor. Anyway, yesterday, Cassie came. Let's just talk about how the court reporters screwed her over real good. Who is in charge of coloring over there? Let me just remind you that she is in the first trimester of her pregnancy. She looks like she is about to deliver an elephant. What? Who? Has this person ever seen a pregnant person? And were they trying to draw a picture of Cassie Ventura? Anyway, she showed up and she says that she hated it all. She didn't want to have any part of it, that she had to be drugged in order to participate because otherwise she could not dissociate adequately for the debasement that was at hand. And she says that, yes, she did call these escorts. She did make arrangements for it. That Diddy would always sit in the corner and watch them. And that the whole thing was this big choreographed thing. Like, it was very choreographed down to the most minute of aspects. Of course, when she's cross-examined, they're going to say, well, why were you calling? Why were you making calls for these escorts? Why were you telling them what to do? Why were you participating if you hated it so much? But all that's going to fall flat. If they can get somebody on the stand to talk about how victimized people behave in abusive situations, it's not going to matter that she participated seemingly of her own free will, because it wasn't of her own free will. If you are making decisions out of fear and you're making choices in order to stay alive, and some of those choices mean that you have to look happy about something you're not happy about, like, it doesn't really matter that it looked consensual to the escort. But I think it's going to be a hard thing to say, because it's like literally her word versus Sean's word. Sean's like, well, she looked like she enjoyed it. And she's like, but I didn't. Well, how can we know? I think it's going to be a hard thing to explain. But then again, we pan over to the video of her getting dragged down the hall. I'm sorry, does that look like consensual good times? Looks like she wanted to get out of there. So that video, I think, is going to be super, super, super important. The problem is the defense keeps saying, well, the video is bad and you can be upset about the fact that that video was there, but that doesn't mean that he was, trafficking people across state lines and committing federal crimes. That's domestic abuse, and that's not what we're here for. So I just think the whole thing's not going to go well for him, obviously. I mean, they are up against it when they're trying to prove this Joker's innocence. And by the way, there's like 3,000 people that have come forward who say that he victimized them. Not all of them have been vetted, but it's not looking good for him. Another person who was in court this week who was telling tales of woe was Kim Kardashian. Now, you guys, Kim Kardashian was in court in Paris because she was standing as a witness to the crimes committed against her when she was in Paris for Paris Fashion Week some years ago. And then she was held at gunpoint and her engagement ring was stolen. I believe she was robbed and she thought she was going to be murdered, and, she wasn't, but it was a really terrifying experience. Who her own family says the experience has changed her personality. And that she often seems very sort of, even now, a little bit catatonic in the face of stressful situations. It's like she goes back to that moment. That's what they say. Anyway, she came to testify about what had happened to her and to read a statement. But what was curious is the way she showed up to court. I'm sorry. This is a person who said that after it happened, she was afraid to wear any jewelry lest somebody tried to rob her again. But then she showed up in what I have read was tantamount to $7 million worth of jewels. Am I remembering that correctly? It was some absurd amount. Dripping in diamonds. The rings on her hand, whoa. It almost felt like she was trying to give the middle finger to the fear she had felt when she was like, I'm not going to wear jewelry anymore because it just makes me a target. Now she was showing up in court dripping in diamonds in this little couture outfit that was slit up the back. I mean, it was all just a fashion moment. And this is the thing to me. I'm not opposed to you going to court looking nice, but I just felt like it's like you are here to talk about how this thing was so frightening to you that you had severe PTSD after the incident, which anybody would if they were held at gunpoint and robbed. Terrifying. I don't care if you have a lot of money. Of course, you're a human being. The incident sounded horrifying. But come to court dressed like you want to talk about how you were scared to death. Don't come to court making it a fashion moment with all of your diamonds and your couture outfit and your slit up to your ass. Like, really and seriously, you need to come soberly to court to talk about this sober moment that happened to you so we can take you seriously. So we're not talking about your diamonds. We're not talking about your couture outfit. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about what happened to you. And I'm like, take yourself seriously for once, Kim. Like, really freaking take yourself seriously for 1 second. And come to court and actually talk about what happened instead of making it yet one more moment for the photographers, one more moment for the paparazzi. It just bugged me because this was actually a real thing that happened to her. And then she's still making it part of a reality TV show. Let's talk about some people this week. We have just like 4 other little short random stories. But I have to say to you, this past weekend was Mother's Day. And of course, everybody's got to pop off about how much they love their mom and all of this. And it's like, do you really even love your mom if you don't post about it on social media? Nobody needs one more thing in their feed on certain holidays where we all have to look through the same post. It's just it's your turn to do it. But all these celebrities were wanting to post. Of course, we saw Meghan with her kids hanging off of her. Why does she always seem like she can't carry her kids? Don't try to carry both of them at the same time. Maybe just have like a normal picture. She literally wants to show, I'm juggling it all. You know, my arms are full of love. But it's always these awkward pictures where she's carrying one kid and the little one is on her leg, kind of like a dog. But anyway, you're scrolling through all these celebrity posts. In the mix of all these posts, we see Rachel Ray. Now, fans of this show, no, we've talked about Rachel Ray before. And for some reason, everyone's like, what's going on with Rachel Ray? And I'm like, you guys, we've been talking about Rachel Ray for a minute. We've been knowing something's going on with Rachel Ray. Like, I think I've talked about her 2 separate times, being like, is anybody else noticing this? Well, everybody else noticed this time. And she posted this really, quite frankly, a strange video about how her mom had been worried about her when she first went to New York to try to make it big, and how she didn't have any money, but she didn't want to tell her mom that she didn't have any money and that she could make $40 stretch for a whole week of food. And she said that later on, of course, she had a show that was like $40 a day and how to feed your family for $40 a day. But she said back in her poverty-stricken youth, when she had first arrived in New York City to try to make it big, she had $40 a week to try to make it stretch. So she's like standing over the stove telling a story. And I kept waiting for her to explain what in the world she was making in this, these 2 disgusting pots of what looked like gruel. Because I was like, is this some of the food you were eating on $40 a day? I'm telling you, it looked like something Oliver Twist was asking for some more of. In this video, she's like showing pictures of back when she was younger, and then we'd pan back to her now, hunkered over her steaming pots of gruel. And I was like, what is happening with Rachel Ray? And also, why is everybody now asking what's happening? Oh, we're concerned, we're concerned. I've been concerned for like months now. Obviously, she's not doing very well, but you guys, like, catch up already. Anyway, other people who we heard of this week as Mother's Day was upon us this past weekend, at least in the States, was Amber Heard. She posted that she'd had a great Mother's Day because guess what, guys? She has twins now. Why is somebody giving her children? There needs to be some laws where if you went to court and it was laid bare that you were crouching on people's beds and pooping all over the place, that means you don't get to be a mom. I feel like we can make some hard and fast rules about that. If you ever crouched on a man's bed in a fit of revenge and sprayed lunch from your butt all over the place, I'm going to need you to not get to be a mom. Anyway, so she posted that against all odds, she's got more kids. Well, we all know who the dad is. Elon. Her first kid was clearly Elon's kid. And since he's like over there giving whatever he can to whoever wants it and living by some strange virtue in which he really cares about populating the planet, though not that much about being the dad of the kids, it's no far stretch to assume that these twins also belong to him. Now, I didn't see in the reports that I read that it was from a surrogate, but we didn't really see her pregnant. So I don't know. I'm assuming this was a surrogate. She says she's had fertility issues. And obviously the last relationship we knew her to be in was a lesbian relationship. So we know that she had to get sperm from somewhere. But I don't know who carried these kids. There was no pictures of her pregnant with them. But you guys, the picture that she posted, I'm just going to be honest with you, weird as hell. Weird as hell. We're looking at the feet of the babies, and then I think the feet of her older daughter. She's another daughter named Una, and these 2 babies' names are Agnes and Ocean. So we get all the kids' feet. Okay, I know that when babies are like born, obviously sometimes they're a little blue. These kids, I'm like, these are alive babies though, right? I mean, I hate to be grim, but the blue feet freaked me out a tinge. Just a little bit. The other thing that was weird was the fact that they didn't appear to be in diapers or clothing, just some washcloths between their legs. I hated everything about these pictures. I hated that they were so uncozy and cold looking. I hated that they didn't even have anything on but an old rag, sort of like, I'm just like, it's just like 1907 New York City tenement lifestyle. Like, what is happening right here? Like, I just was like, are you going to breastfeed them or give them a bottle of sugar water from a rag? I mean, like, why is this so depressing? I'm telling you, the picture gave me Angela's Ashes vibes. What's happening with these twins? Is Una going to have to be in charge of watching them in a pram outside on a stoop? I mean, the whole thing, I couldn't stand it at all. But anyway, so Amber Heard has more kids. Happy Mother's Day, Amber. Poor kids. Like, we need to keep tabs, you guys. Let's add them to our prayer list. 2 other stories this week. You guys, okay. As most of you know, we're reading about Martha Stewart. And I was talking about this the other day too, but I'm going to say it here. Why is Martha Stewart so obsessed with selfies of herself in which she looks like this? You guys, is that not the most embarrassing thing you've ever seen? Okay, first of all, the concept of selfie, we don't really even get how lame that is. We've become numb to the fact that taking pictures of yourself with your camera in mirrors or otherwise, is about as cringe as it gets. But we've gotten used to it. We all take selfies and we all pretend like it isn't embarrassing. It is, but it's even more embarrassing when you do it the way she does, which is to always make the same weird face as you take your own picture in a mirror with your camera showing. The whole thing is so self-obsessed, and I'm like, lifestyle queen, as you want us to believe, is this the lifestyle we're supposed to want? Taking pictures of ourselves in mirrors, making this face? There's so many of these. Now, Martha Stewart clearly has had some work done of recent days. And she looks better now, honestly, than she's maybe looked her whole life. So I guess I can understand, you drop some change on a new phase, you're excited about it. But could we do some different faces? Why that face? That's not sexy or alluring. If you were to do that face one time, it'd be like, all right, okay, well, we all make bad choices sometimes. But to every single time? What the heck, Martha Stewart? Could you just come down to literal earth for a second? Your vibe is off of late. Please just make bouquets and show me how to weave a lattice top for a pie. Anything but this. All right. And finally, as our final story today, some of you will remember from, 10 years ago, Meghan Trainor was I feel like a one-hit wonder in a lot of ways. She wrote a song called All About That Bass, which was all about the fact that she's not stick thin, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that she was sort of flat-chested, but, was bringing it in the rear. However, then she got on Ozempic and tried to act like she had, figured out this fitness thing, and that she and some kind of personal trainer and doctor had really figured out her body type. But in the meantime, she not only dropped all this weight from that base, but also she decided to get something in the treble clef. So now she's all up in this area and nothing in the rear area. And so people are like, but what about that base? And she was prancing around the other day, trying to sing that song. And I'm like, girl, really? You got to make new songs now. Because your whole song is about the fact that you don't need to be stick thin and your figure is just fine and body positivity. Meanwhile, you got on Ozempic, got new boobs, and you still want to sing It's All About That Bass? I just can't even imagine transforming my whole body and still trying to sing a song about the body I used to have. And then being like, why are people not into this? I don't know, because it's lame and embarrassing and weird. Your whole message before was, I'm good to go. Then you changed your whole body and was like, I just think that people should be more supportive. I think maybe you should just embrace your changes if you're going to choose to change and not try to drag us along to It's All About That treble. Well, it isn't. That's a fake treble situation you got there anyway. You literally changed your body and then wants us to still feel like your body positivity. Here, by the way, and let me just say this too. The body positivity movement was whack. Okay? It's obviously dying. The body positivity movement, if that's truly what it was, would have been like, okay, good. We all come in different shapes and sizes and we can celebrate that. Everybody doesn't have to be stick thin. Fine. I get that. Thank God for that. I'd have been cut out a long time ago if that's how it had to be. The Kardashians were the best thing that ever happened to me. Because then everyone was like, oh, it's actually okay to have hips and a butt. Yes. That was my salvation. But the body positivity movement just turned into a whole thing about you can be grotesquely obese. And it's all good, because health comes in all different sizes. I'm like, well, not an obese, though. And for them to try to push that idea on us was ridiculous. Nobody wanted to look obese. I mean, nobody wants to lose weight. Losing weight is hard. So trying to change the narrative and be like, no, but this is also healthy and good. If you want to be obese, it's your body. You can do what you want. But it's not healthy and good. So to try to say that it was healthy and good was ridiculous. And then as soon as everyone found out that, oh, I could lose 90 pounds in 30 days, okay, sign me up. Nobody felt body positivity then. It was all just the laziness that was making us be like, fat is the best. So Meghan Trainor obviously wanted to jump on that Ozempic wagon and lost a bunch of weight. But okay, so we've moved on to a new time now. Nobody is celebrating being big anymore. Everyone's like, I can't get my hands on some Ozempic fast enough. And so we've reached into a new age, which means, Meghan, you're going to have to write some songs. Maybe you can write a song about what it's like to be on Ozempic and not being able to eat anything because it makes you want to throw up. Maybe write a song about how you are a little bit worried because your digestion will never be the same and you may be needing to plan an early funeral. Maybe write a song about the fact that if you're not careful, Ozempic might make you go blind. There's a song for you. I mean, it's like new age, new songs, okay? It's not all about that bass anymore. It might be all about that grave. Anyway, we'll talk later, you guys, on Friday. But between then and now, Thursday's another Martha Stewart day. Thursday, another episode. Friday, more of what we just did. I'll see you guys then. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.